Hello, and welcome to Dotacinema Production. My name is SUNSfan, and this is the lower bracket finals between EPIDEMIC, also known as erectile dysfunction, who's going to be on the dire, and Panzer, who is, of course, on the other team, which is the Radiant, and we are waiting for an observer to... I'm actually going to expect very many reconnects, or remakes, I should say, because this is just been the past 2 weeks in a nutshell. And yes, this is a solo cast because nobody is able to get on because it's so freaking early. 11 a.m. Super early, I know. And I think... who is it now that's not connecting? Like, seriously. So anyway, yeah, this is the lower bracket finals for the SkyNet League. And the Panzer team is the team that just lost yesterday to Dignitas. So the winner of this best of 3 series is going to go play them in the next tomorrow in the grand finals. And then, of course, on the other side, EPIDEMIC, also known as erectile dysfunction, not to confuse anybody, but they basically came from the lower bracket for the most part. They made it like halfway through, I think, the upper bracket, and finally, I forget who they lost to. I think I cast that too. That's pretty sad that I don't know that. But either way, and just so you guys know, this is tournament mode, so it's not going to be the new version. And also, just so you know, there's a little bit of drama before the game as per norm. And with Kranich, of all people, and I say that in the most sarcastic tone possible because he has made a beef with pretty much... He's started beef, I should say, with every single game that I've cast. He wants US East, even though apparently... at the very least, 9 out of the 10 of these players, if not all of them, are actually European. So he's just really insistent on the US East. Right now, they're definitely on Europe, but he's insistent on the next game to be US East, and nobody has agreed to it other than him. So we'll see what ends up happening here. First ban coming out for the Radiant, aka Panzer, is going to be Furion, followed by Anti-Mage, so nothing too shocking as of yet. Obviously, Furion, one of the best pushers in the game, one of the hardest to contain in the game because he's just all over the map at all times. One of the best gankers too, although you can technically get out of his sprout pretty easily if you have a Quelling Blade or Tangos and whatnot. But either way, he is still very hard to contain because he's just so mobile. And I guess somewhat of the same story from Anti-Mage, just being considered the hardest carry in the game, but also very mobile, very tanky. People just don't understand that he literally takes basically no damage. I mean, a 50% spell reduction is... and a blink, it's going to be very tough to take down. And then we followed by a Chen. So this is a ban. I'm not going to say it's a new ban because it's definitely not a new ban, but basically replacing a Broodmother of sorts. I expect the Night Stalker to follow suit here. Broodmother has kind of fallen off for the most part. I expect perhaps that to occur as a ban in the second stages, perhaps, as we do see Night Stalker. Okay, they're going to pick her up now. So as I say, she dropped off. She is apparently back on the scene. I was actually wondering why she hasn't been. And the first thing that came through my mind was the fact that SK, aka Sand King, who's already encountered a Broodmother, was buffed horribly with his Caustic Finale, lasting 8 seconds. But like I said, this is tournament mode, so there's no reason for them to not pick Broodmother in defense of a Sand King being buffed. So they do first picker, and of course it's followed by Windrunner, and it has to be Lich. Has to be. There's like no other choice here. Lich is just too good of a hero to give up. I mean, you give a tier 1, well, it used to be a tier 1 pick in Broodmother, and you want to follow suit with a couple of tier 1.5s, I like to call them, Windrunner and Lich. But Broodmother, of course, is a lot like Furion in the fact that not as mobile. I mean, very tough to kill just because of the invisibility and, of course, a ton of move speed in those webs and health regeneration. So she has a lot of survivability. But she's kind of one of those heroes that it's not going to be different lanes she's pushing constantly. It's going to be most likely the same lane that she's going to continue to pressure over and over while the rest of the team fights 4-on-5 for the most part. And it does sound... I mean, to the person that hasn't seen it happen, it sounds like, oh, well, 4-on-5, no big deal. But that's not exactly the case. Dependent on your team lineup, it can be really tough to go up against. Looks like Epidemic is taking their sweet-ass time with this pick, which they are thinking about very hard, and they end up going with the obvious Lich pick. So that's kind of interesting that they would wait that long. But either way, perhaps they had somebody else in their mind. But, of course, Windrunner, going to be the side solo. Of course, technically, Lich could be the side solo, but I expect Windrunner to do so because I think she is the best at it in the entire game. With the Wind Run, not able to take any physical damage and has max move speed for like a 3-second period or something like that. And just extremely tough to kill without layered stuns. And of course Lich could technically, or most likely is going to be in the dual lane with a carry, with a jungler, or even a tri-lane of sorts, but they're going to be denying experience for somebody, and that's going to be a hell on earth for them. And they're going to follow suit with a Tidehunter after the fact, so I'm kind of surprised the Tidehunter lasted this long. Of course the AoE ult are going to have tons of teamfight capability just with Lich and Tidehunter. The question is, both being support, I'm assuming at this point, are they going to be able to get to level 6 in a timely manner? And the last few days, we've been seeing Tidehunter completely fail over and over. And actually, yesterday, it was Kurokai's team in Panzer who failed over and over with Tidehunter. So they're not going to get the chance to fail with him this time. In fact, they end up picking up Enigma, another big teamfight ultimate, but a lot easier time to farm, a lot easier time to get levels. Followed suit by Venomancer, who's been crazy. Like, I'm not going to say he's back on the scene because he's been played in a ton of games, but he has been the first tier pick the past few weeks now. And it's not really too surprising considering his wards are just extremely hard to kill. But let's go off of the bans here. We got Slardar and wow. So we got a Darkseer who I've seen a few times, and when he gets good farm, it's pretty disgusting to watch. I mean, if he gets an Aghanim Scepter, it's very tough to contain. In fact, what was it? A Na'Vi game that they lost against a Darkseer, and anytime Na'Vi loses, people are going to copy the opposing team strat. So that's just the way it is. Not too big of a surprise there, I guess. But of course, I don't know the whole story behind what Panzer can do with it. So, in essence, they're banning technically Enigma and the Darkseer could be junglers / side solos. So Epidemic, also known as erectile dysfunction, isn't quite sure what Panzer wants to do with that Enigma, whether play him in lane or in the jungle. But I would think they'd have to know that it has to be in the jungle because Broodmother is a side solo, and that's the only way around that. Epidemic does ban Dragon Knight, which is Panzer's favorite hero of all time. Leaf and Kurokai are obsessed with that hero. I'll just leave it at that. Kurokai being the one that brought him back onto the scene, I would say. But yesterday we saw he just got completely shrizzled with him. And actually that was Leaf that was playing him, but he got completely shrizzled with Dragon Knight because their picks were very suspect. Very, very suspect in the fact that they let the opposing team get an Axe, and that pretty much counters Dragon Knight for the most part. But they did ban the Slardar to perhaps pick up that Dragon Knight, but of course they're not going to have that chance, so they still have a Naix on board if they want to do so. They do ban Razor, who's a great anti-carry. Void still being available, by the way, just keep that in mind. Panzer does pick up Rasta, who we just have to wait and see whether he goes mid or if he's in some sort of a support lane. But at this juncture, I would assume it's going to be in the solo lane because you have Enigma in the jungle, like I said, Broodmother in the side solo. So Venomancer is going to be with some sort of a carry in the easy lane, while Rasta goes mid. So at this juncture, I think that Epidemic would be pretty good idea to pick up Void, which I would probably leave for last, just because it actually works. Well, obviously it works really well with Lich's ult. Tidehunter's ult, it's okay. I mean, Tidehunter would probably be, technically speaking, it's better for Tidehunter to initiate and then a Chronosphere to follow, and then a Lich ult to follow that. But, and of course, I was just going to say AA also an ult you can stack onto that. And I think they will go Void here in the last pick, and they don't have to worry about Pandemic, or did I say Pandemic, of Panzer picking up that Void, because they most likely won't be going any Void, just because Enigma ult just doesn't work too well at all with a Chronosphere. But you never know, they could end up wanting to go that just to deny Epidemic getting that hero. But I think they're going to go some sort of strength carry. A Naix would make sense here. Dragon Knight would have been their favorite, obviously, but it remains to be seen what they're actually going to replace that with. And honestly, if they didn't ban Slardar, they might have gone just Slardar. Or perhaps they banned the Slardar for invisibility here, like Ricky or something like that. So they're kind of wide open. And like I said, I don't think Void is a good choice this game. But I could be proven wrong, of course. I mean, in combination with the Veno, it can be powerful, but Enigma's ult kind of gets wasted. And they're going to go at Puck. Interesting. Very interesting. So I have literally no idea what their lanes are going to be, because Puck isn't one of those heroes that I consider Puck, Broodmother kind of the same boat, and they have to be solo. Enigma could technically... Okay, I guess I do know what they're going to do. Well, I guess it's dependent. Broodmother's definitely going to be solo. Enigma in the jungle. Puck is going to be another solo. And perhaps a Rasta Veno lane, which I don't like very much, but considering that they might... Yeah, there's the Void. So I think Void is going to end up going middle. It would be a good idea for him to go middle. And it's going to be a dual lane with Lich. And going against Rasta, that's going to destroy him. So perhaps Rasta having somebody like a Venomancer is probably a good idea in hindsight. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But it's interesting. It's really weird to see somebody like a Puck come into play here when they have so many solos already. But of course, like I said, Enigma doesn't necessarily have to solo, and most likely will be in the jungle here. But yeah, going back to... I really, really like Epidemic's lineup here. They have a lot of synergy, and... people, I don't know how to say it. Tidehunter, it's not the best synergy with Tidehunter, to be honest, because he's melee and the Chronosphere is going to screw him up. So he's going to have to be the initiator. But like we've seen time and time again, you just don't get much farm on a Tidehunter in games like this. So he really needs to get that level 6 in a timely manner, and if possible, get a Blink Dagger. But you know, considering how things have gone in the past, or at least recently, that's just not realistic, unfortunately. Enigma looks like I don't think he's going to solo top. He might be just denying a creep here for Broodmother, or even Puck, who could solo this lane. Yeah, Broodmother's actually going to go bottom, so going to go the easy lane with Broodmother. Puck's going to go the difficult lane, suicide lane, if you will. Enigma's probably going to go in the jungle, and then a dual lane, Shadow Shaman, Venomancer mid. And actually, I'll just go over the entire lineups here. We got Fire, who I don't think, if he ends up going bottom with Broodmother, I think it's a terrible choice. But Fire is going to be playing Venomancer. This is, of course, Team Panzer. I keep on saying Pandemic for some reason. Leaf is going to be playing the Broodmother. Kurokai on Shadow Shaman. Saga on Enigma. And PAS, who I asked how to pronounce that name, and he did not respond, so I'm just going to call him PAS on the Puck. And the other side of the coin on Epidemic, Erectile Dysfunction, Not a Hacks, who played Windrunner in the last match I casted them, and he was MVP, no doubt about it. And I think that was against Reason Gaming. He played really, really well, as he's going to get caught off here by Venomancer, but he should be good to go. We have Lich is going to be denying a creep at the bottom lane for Windrunner, so very similar to what Enigma did at the top lane for his comrade in action. Kranich is going to be the one playing Lich. We got Bonzai on the AA, and actually he's going to be solo mid, so I was going to bring that up as another possibility, although I don't technically like that, because Shadow Shaman's going to be... It's going to be a pretty even matchup, and why not put a lane that's going to destroy them? And then we have Edson. We have Sunny on the Void, and of course Dreamshock on the Tidehunter. So Puck actually gets a really... People think that Invisibility Room might not be very good for the side solo, but you'd be wrong, because he's going to get... Okay, he just... actually it dissipated. It doesn't last very long, but he's going to get a little bit of free experience because of that, and Tidehunter is forced to back up here because this is warded. He's going to have to try to counter that. But, okay, we are going to have a dual lane. So it ends up being a dual lane anyway. Not a farming dual lane, but a harassing one, so that actually might work out better for them. It's going to be Lich AA versus Rasta. Rasta's going to have, I would think, a lot of trouble in this lane with all the burst damage coming out here. And the lane that's probably nothing's going to happen as far as kills are concerned, which I've been wrong before, as we have a pause. We have Windrunner versus Broodmother bottom, which both have getaway escape mechanisms, I should say. And really wouldn't expect too much to happen. But Enigma in the jungle, of course, and the one we have to worry about is Venomancer. So that's going to be the one to look at here in this bottom lane. So I guess it's not technically a 1v1, but I guess he could did he go wards? No, he went. Yeah, he's going to be ganking bottom lane very shortly to get Windrunner out of there as soon as possible. But technically could jungle if he wanted. Have seen that before, no doubt. since, well, his wards are pretty ridiculous. But again, he doesn't want to cock block his teammate in Enigma. So that's probably not going to happen this game. So I think because of this, you're going to see two things here. Mid lane is very important. Kurokai getting early levels is going to be paramount to his success. And on the other side, we have the opposite in Nada Hax. Is he able to get experience in a technically 2v1 lane? But we'll just have to wait and see how Venomancer, how aggressive he becomes. H2O time. Love it. While we're paused, might as well get a little plugging going on here. If you're just joining us, this is SUNSfan from Dotacinema. And if it sounds like I just woke up, it's because I did. That's just how I roll. I just wake up and start casting. That's just how I roll. This is the SkyNet League lower bracket finals, which means the grand finals are actually going to be tomorrow. This is a best of 3, and this is game 1. EPIDEMIC being on the Dire and Panzer on the Radiant. Where's Lich? Alright, Lich is just roaming at this point. Actually, he might go bottom to assist the Windrunner. Very interesting choice here, since Windrunner doesn't feel very safe because they know Venomancer has been missing here. And of course, I'm not sure if they warded this initially in Venomancer counter, but it doesn't look like it considering there's no wards anywhere. So interesting choice not to block these creeps at all. Not sure what the thought process behind that is, as they're going to have a little bit of a journey here to attempt to kill the Venomancer, but he's already done pulling for the most part. And they're actually going to find him here with trees just completely taken out. Thanks to these, thanks to the beautiful web. You know, at top lane, Puck is going to be a little bit of trouble, but of course with the escape mechanism, honestly not my favorite escape mechanism because he can be stunned out of it pretty easily. But of course, with no stuns in that lane, I think he'll be fine. Tidehunter, one of those heroes who's excellent support, but really needs to get that level 6, and we'll talk about how important that, I mean, that's going to be a recurring theme in this game, I do believe, as Cold Feet's going to be placed on Kurokai, and he's not going to get stunned, just barely out of the radius. I thought he actually was going to. And Ancient Apter is going to get a little bit of farm in the meantime. Top lane, who do we have? Lich everywhere, just freaking everywhere. I'm not sure why he would bother coming to the bottom lane. Maybe to push it back with that sacrifice ability, but it doesn't really... It adds a little bit of burst damage for the puck kill, but they still don't have any stuns. So I prefer him to stay mid. I'm not sure why he didn't stay mid. I think really feels comfortable, apparently, playing 1v1 against Kurokai mid. And I don't really see a reason for that. Like, why even take that chance when you have the, in my opinion, better lineup for actually getting some kills in that mid lane. And yeah, it looks like, so this is an interesting strategy here. We're going to see Spiderlings used by Broodling to help Venomancer jungle. So in essence, why do I keep saying Pandemic? They don't even have a Dota 2 team. Panzer is basically getting solo experience on every single hero, which could work out really well for them, obviously. And the reason I say solo experience, it's technically not solo experience, but for all intents and purposes, it kind of is. You have mid lane solo, top lane solo, bottom lane solo, and 2 junglers. And the weird thing is that the junglers are in the same jungle, so that is the odd thing here. And I'm kind of surprised that Veno didn't really gank to start off, but is going to go the typical, even in the jungle, it's going to go the typical build. I'm surprised he didn't go level 2 wards instead of going his passive or even his, well, he did go Gale first, so he doesn't have much of a choice, I guess. But very interesting play here. I really do like it. It is a little bit risky because you're going to be giving up farm to a Faceless Void, who of course is the hardest carry in this specific game. So that's something definitely to worry about. As mid lane, DD popped on Shadow Shaman. He's going to continue to chase this AA. I don't think he's going to get anything out of it. He's not level 6 yet, so can't ward trap or anything to that extent. He's going to cut off these lane creeps, and really being aggressive here is Kurokai. So again, I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to promise not to say it again. Not sure why they didn't just bring Lich back in the mid lane, because I think that would be really beneficial for EPIDEMIC at this point. I know I'm saying Pandemic because EPIDEMIC and then the P from Panzer is basically Pandemic. That's annoying. Rasta is going to get sandwiched here between AA and Tidehunter, but he's going to see the Tidehunter and he's going to run away. And should be good to go. Looks like his teammates in the bottom jungle are there to assist if need be as well. Venomancer does have the Invis Rune. Expect him to actually start ganking a little bit. I mean, if he's going to be playing the jungler, there's no reason. Actually, it looks like it was a smoke. There's no reason not to start ganking here. And actually, this could be a pretty easy kill mid if he lands a Gale. Of course, it is a smoke, so once he's in range, he will be seen. There's the shackle from Shadow Shaman, but and then okay, I don't know about this. Little bit of miscommunication, but there's the wards to ensure the kill, and that is going to be first blood for Kurukai in the mid lane. So using the wards, and we'll see if they can actually, I don't think they can really get this tower, but perhaps get it down to a decent range as Tidehunters can take a little bit of damage. And so he uses a ward to get first blood, and I will say that is definitely not a waste just because you get that extra gold. And I'm kind of surprised that, I mean, typically these games have been going really fast paced, so it's kind of interesting to see that kind of an old, I shouldn't say old metagame because they're definitely doing a different, they're doing 3 solos, so that's definitely not the old metagame, but old metagame in the sense that you kind of get off to slow starts, not a lot of action, but that's what's so good about Dota 2, you know, there's so many different things. So many different strategies you can implement. And just looking at some quick creep scores that actually might have a gank here mid. It's going to be a big time sandwich. Actually, 2 different initiations going on at this time. Ancient Apparition taking a lot of damage. Going to place his ult out. Easily going to get the kill on Venomancer one way or another. Ancient Apparition will die beforehand, so won't get any experience, unfortunately. So he's struggling big time. And we still go back. Oh, I said I wouldn't mention it. I'm not going to mention it ever again. But they should have done it. They should have done it. And looks like the other lanes are good to go. So at this point, 31-8 on that Kurukai mid against the AA, who is 16-5. So Kurukai on Rasta is complete. I mean, take away the kills, he's still completely dominated. And of course, he does have the 2 kill experience at least, but the first blood, of course, and the assist there mid. In the meantime, the bottom lane I want to look at, we have Broodmother at 38-9. And then Void, on the other hand, is 40-11. So that's relatively even for the most part. He has a Ring of Health and actually a Poor Man's Shield in his stash. So that's interesting that he feels like he needs that, considering he's getting 100% free farm here. I figured he'd go, like, this would be a good game to go for a Hand of Midas or something like that, because you're just going to get complete free farm here. And you're the hardest carry, so you just need to compete with a Broodmother who, once you get to the extreme late stages of the game, is really no trouble for a Void. And we're gonna have a little amalgamation here mid, and I don't think I mentioned, but Panzer definitely has a good pushing team, and they could literally take 2 towers here if nobody else comes. I mean, Tidehunter's not level 6. You don't have many ults to speak of. Actually, no ults except for Void, who's gonna be useless with his ult at this point because it doesn't do any damage. But Pandemic has an extremely good pushing team. I mean, everybody, if you look at their lineup, of course, all of them are good pushers, and Puck is the only one that's questionable, but of course, with that Illusory Orb and, what is it, Waning Rift? Yes, I'm right, Waning Rift can take out lane creeps really easily, so can definitely lane push with the best of them. So they definitely have a really good pushing team, and perhaps, and obviously not having the best carry to go against Void, expect them to continue to push here, as Enigma does have his ultimate. And actually, is he going to use it here? He's going to die before he gets anything off, and this is going to be a failed gank attempt. There's the ultimate, just hitting level 6 is Tidehunter, so a relatively early level 6 since we, from what we've been seeing lately. That's going to be a triple kill, and most importantly, Void was actually here to get the experience, so that's really important. But Tidehunter does get the triple kill, and that is going to be huge for him. Actually, he's 4-0. That is freaking crazy. He has literally every single kill here for the Dire team. Meanwhile, Broodmother, this is going to be a recurring theme. Just going to be sitting in this lane the entire game, pushing these towers until this tower is taken out. Then he has the choice of either pushing another lane or just continue the pressure onto the base tower. So, but yeah, if you're Panzer at this point, you're definitely going to want to start pushing at some point. You have your Rasta ultimate, which I believe is, yeah, it should be up by now. Yes, definitely is. Brother not going level 6 yet, so not looking for any solo kills. Just looking for that push. Went level 4 Spiderlings, of course. Meanwhile, in mid, we're going to have a Ward Trap on a Lich, and Ross is going to get a pretty easy kill. I say easy kill, but once you get the Ward Trap, it is an easy kill for most part. But of course, the Ward Trap is impressive to see nonetheless. Meanwhile, at bottom lane, we have Windrunner, who's pretty good at containing the... And we're talking about such a good pushing team from Panzer. How's the counter pushing? The turtling, if you will, from Epidemic, as we've seen AAL fly in. And it is pretty good, actually. His Windrunner's going to get caught off. He's going to try to Windrunner away, but the mini-stun's not going to help his cause. Oh, the Spiderling is actually going to get the kill. Here's the Lich ult, only bouncing once, so a complete waste of a big-time ultimate. Tidehunter's here. There's the Enigma ult coming out. Is going to be enough damage to, or enough disable, I should say, to get the kills here, and it looks like it is. Wow, so great job. Great turnaround there from Enigma. As they can actually continue the push here. I think Rasta is here with... Oh, that's right, he did use the solo wards, so he's not going to have any wards to speak of. But again, they don't necessarily need those wards to push, as Void does have his ultimate, but again, not a whole lot to go off of here. And the big thing here, if you're the Radiant, you know that Tidehunter ults down, you know that Lich ults down. So there's no reason to worry about this. If Void comes in with a Chronosphere, who cares? They have nothing to follow it up with. Actually, Puck gets a kill on Ancient Apparition. Interesting, considering Ancient Apparition should have the experience lead on that, but perhaps not. As we're going to see a tier 2 tower go down. It's a very aggressive play here from Panzer. The German team. As they're going to be content with that tower. And basically, they have the tier 2 mid left and all the towers top, actually. Which, if you're the Dire team in this case, that is the best case scenario, because if you give up this too early, it gives an avenue for somebody like a Void to free farm. And not necessarily always the case, considering you can apply pressure and take them off the lane and whatnot, as Void's can actually try to get out of here and can TP out just fine. But better safe than sorry in this case, and I think this is perfect case. And honestly, I think you take out this tower before you go for top, just to avoid Void from completely free farming, which he is not farming very well at this point. I mean, how many creep kills does he have? He's 67 and 15, so actually really good. So forget what I just said. I figured since he was TPing everywhere to try to, you know, contain this push, that he wasn't really farming that well. And actually, I'm going to go to gold per minute real quick, as we might have a gank here top. The Broodmother, 370 gold per minute, 427 on Shadow Shaman. That is the highest in the game right now. But Faceless Void at 335, which is respectable at the 12-minute mark. But again, I said he should have gone for Hat and Minus, but perhaps not, actually, because going against the push lineup, you don't want to go for items that give you no survivability, give you no stats. So probably a good choice not to listen to me, which is why I'm probably the caster and not the player. Blink Dagger picked up on Shadow Shaman here. Kurokai going to be using that to his advantage to gank the crap out of this team. But again, Void has literally nothing here. He's definitely going to be going for a Vanguard for survivability, but he's not going to be doing any damage to speak of. They're going to have to rely heavily on their ultimates, which are now up, by the way. So look forward to seeing that. As actually, I missed yet another kill. AA is just getting crapped on this game, poor guy. Completely crapped on. 0-5. So remember the thing I said I wasn't going to mention? I'm not going to mention it, but it turns out I was right. And this is the thing about playing Windrunner in some of these games. You're kind of... Oh, as I might have initiation here. Void is going to run into a Venomancer. Venomancer is actually going to place his ult. Good job placing the ult. Actually, Puck could technically get the kill on Lich, but he's not going to go for it. Looks like he might have a little bit of action mid. That tower is going to be most likely taken down. We're going to have TPs out. And the AA Blast is going to come in. This is deniable at this point, so the question is, are they going to actually go for it? They're going to look for the last hit, actually. And this is going to be interesting to see if they can get it. Ross is not going to do enough damage. This is an easy deny if they want to go for it, but seeing no pressure being applied here, Shadow Shaman is going to be an easy kill if they want to, but no. Oh my god, Ross actually gets the kill on Tidehunter. Unbelievable. But the tower is denied, so probably a fair trade, honestly. Although Tidehunter is a decent level for this time of the game, so that ultimate is huge. So you may be asking, what can Epidemic do to come back in this game? And the answer is simple. First of all, AA needs to stop horribly feeding. They need a time machine and go back in time and change the lanes a little bit. Well, not necessarily. They do have great ultimates. If they can get good coordination with the ultimates, they can turn this around easily. It's not to the point of no return yet, although they have lost a lot of towers. I'm not going to lie. So as you see, like I was saying, Broodmother just continue to push this bottom lane. He's going to mind his own business. Venomancer is going to place all his wards here. AA ult is going to come out. Is it going to hit Venomancer at the very least? Yes, it is. Shackle Shot not going to hit, but there's the Chronosphere. But no big time ultimate to speak of to follow suit. Venomancer does die, but again, he used most of his spells. 1-for-1 train for winner, and that is going to be a dead Void. So just terrible situation here. You don't see any coordination with these ults. I mean, Lich had his ult, Tidehunter has his ult. So very odd to see Epidemic not using any of those in conjunction with that Chronosphere. And now Chronosphere's down. So they did take out that tier 2 tower. They took out this top tier tower mid, or top I should say. Top 1, tier 1 tower top. And now they're gonna go for this tier 1 or tier 2 bottom. In the meantime, Broodmother again. Like, what are you gonna do here? Should we stop the push with Rasta wards with summons from Enigma, or should we stop the one-person bottom pushing the crap out of our team? And looks like they're gonna choose to try to stop this Broodmother, but you hear the Rasta wards from the other side of the map, which is an interesting bug. They can hear that across the map. Are going to be used for this tier 2, and they're going to be content with this. Expect them to back up here, perhaps go for a Roshan in the near future once these wards are up, or maybe they don't even need the wards at this point, because they do have, I mean, one of the benefits of pushing, of course, is you can have complete map control, which, if you look at the minimap, is definitely the case. Ooh, I really like this ward. This is a Roshan ward, if you've ever seen one. When you're taking Roshan out, this is where they're going to walk by, usually, if they don't have any of these towers, which is definitely the case. Technically, they could come from here, but it's a little less likely at this point in the game. So expect that to follow suit here quickly. I'm going to go over some quick item progressions here. And I'm guessing that most of the stuff is going to be on the Radiant team, to be honest. BKB getting close to being finished on Broodmother. Actually, I want to see how much gold he has currently. He doesn't. Okay, so about 900, 800 away from finishing that BKB. Venomancer, who's playing the support for all intents and purposes, has Arcane Boots, which is fine. Shadow Shaman, like we talked about, has the Blink Dagger, but it does have a point booster, so... Last time I said this, I was completely wrong, so we'll see. And actually, it was with these guys, I think. Point Booster leads you to believe that he's going for Aghanim Scepter, but I've been seeing people go for BKB first after getting the Point Booster, because Point Booster, in my opinion, and many others apparently, is the most important aspect of picking up an Aghanim Scepter. It gives you so much health, so much mana. It's just a nice item to pick up just in general. And usually go for BKB, or not usually, but we've been seeing people go for BKB in between finishing the Aghanim Scepter, so we'll see if that's going to be the case. Smoke is popped here, but they are going to... Oh, no, actually, no. That is not a Sentry Ward, so they're not going to spot it initially. The ults are up. All of them are up, and they need to go now. Here's the Chronosphere. Lich, AA, come on, baby. What is Lich doing? They are cock-blocked by these Venom Wards. Oh, no! Faceless Void. Oh, Lich is going to get his ult up onto Roshan, and it's going to do minimal damage. Oh, this was pro moves by Venomancer. They're going to kill Void with no trouble. They're going to get the Aegis, which I assume... Oh, okay, it's going to be on Rust. I thought it was going to be on Broodmother. And that could do it, ladies and gentlemen. These ward, that is pro blocking right there. That is excellent job. Excellent job from Venomancer. I'll give a shout out to Fire. Just great job. And that could do it. I mean, that was their best chance to get a team wipe, and they failed miserably. But not to really their fault, to be honest. It was mostly the Venom wards. But like I said... They went right through here. Of course, they weren't spotted, but either way, would have been better off going through here if they had pushed the lane a little bit. But that's the price you pay for losing all these towers at the 18-minute mark. You have no towers, and you lose Roshan's Aegis. Enigma, in the meantime, I don't think we mentioned, has a Mechanism as well as a Soul Ring, and looks like he's going for BKB. So no need to go for Blink Dagger at this point, because you're just winning these fights handily. Blink Dagger on Puck as well. I think Broodmother did have that BKB finished. Kurokai in the meantime. Oh, okay, so he does go for Aghanim Scepter. I like that. I mean, BKB is nice, but obviously Chronosphere will take you. We'll go through it, I should say. But at this juncture, you're not really playing very defensive. There's no reason to. I mean, you're living through fights just fine. So, not too big of a surprise in that respect. In the meantime, in the opposite team, I'm just going to go through each player. Lich has nothing. Windrunner, really, just phase boots at this point. AA, who. I keep wanting to come back to what I was saying, but the lanes were just so bad. He has nothing. He was the mid solo, and look at his items 18 minutes in the game. He's literally nothing. Like, seriously. Just got dumped on by Kurokai. Void, in the meantime, is still working on a Battle Fury, so I think that it actually is a decent choice, though, because you want to push back these creeps as fast as possible, these lanes, but might be a little bit too late. Tidehunter, in the meantime, only Arcane Boots. No Blink, obviously. Here's the Chronosphere. There's the Broodmother popping the BKB right beforehand. Tidehunter's ult's going to go out, so a little bit of damage coming out. Shadow Shaman did place his ward, so really his work is done for the most part. Faceless Void will die, so that's going to be an even trade. Of course, Rasta will come back with that Aegis. So 2-for-0 exchange here, make that 3-for-0. And they are just cleaning up. GG's come out. Next coming out from Kranich, who is going to be raging for the next game to be played on US East. Remains to be seen if he's going to get his wish. Enigma going to ult absolutely nothing, just for the fun of it. No problem with that. And congratulations to Panzer for winning Game 1. This is a best of 3 lower bracket finals for the SkyNet League. Game 2 going to be coming up very shortly. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to say as far as why people won, but obviously the gold per minute is out of control. Just want to look at the gold now. Ridiculous, 20,000 gold lead basically. So that'll do it, guys, for Game 1. Game 2 coming up next. My name is SUNSfan from Dotacinema. Make sure to follow us on this stream because we just switched from Twitch and we're starting off with streaming a lot of stuff on this channel. So hopefully you enjoyed. Game 2 coming up next. And yeah, we'll be right back.